Good morning, my Teaser King family. How is everybody today? I am okay, although my foot's still bothering me. Every time I get the gout, it lasts 2 or 3 days, and it just frustrating. I was able to go to the pool yesterday, but the shoe, it was so tight because I have like the stretch pull-on Skechers. So you put it on. You kind of need gym shoes that don't tie. But anyway, so I don't know. My foot's okay, but when I put the shoe on, it then becomes drop some ice cream. It then becomes too tight. So I was having a hard time walking. I took 2 hot tubs and I walked in the pool in the cold water, which helped me. Um, I keep taking my colchicine and my Tylenol, which seems to help. It's getting better today. I'm just like, okay, I got to get ready for the move. Fortunately, I moved most of the stuff into the car that I can move into the car, except for my suits. And again, at the end, it'll be my gold, my silver, and my things. I'm certainly not going to put in the car now. I got to pack up my spices, about 5 or 6 plates, pots and pans, and food has to go in the cooler. So all that'll be the day. Well, the food will be the day of the first. And again, I get the key the 9th. So everything's all set. Again, I just got to get my internet, and I don't know why I'm procrastinating on that, but I am. But it's not crucial to move in. Even if I didn't move in with it, I'd still have my phone. So anyway, yeah, it's tougher. I was just mostly laying on the couch with a nice pack on my foot and watching The Amazing Race. And it's a clever show, but it's a stupid show. The tasks they have to do are so stupid, but I guess you're racing, and I don't know another concept of the race, but how you would race it, but it's a Travelocity show made to just show you different parts of the world. I think they spend too much time in Africa and some of these countries in Asia. They hit each one of them. Like one episode, one series will have Singapore, the next will have Hong Kong, then there'll be Japan, and there'll be China, and they don't do a lot of China. Well, they do Hong Kong and Singapore. But I noticed they never do Russia. They never do Iran. For Russia, you would need a travel visa, and that wouldn't be easy to get. So these are countries where you don't really need the visa. Although that's all going to change. I don't know if they'll have it anymore, because where are you going to go? If you go to Europe, sorry, we're broke. You can't go to the Middle East. We're bombing it. So very interesting. A lot of Africa, and it shows you how backwards Africa is. There's elephants, and everybody gets so excited. Oh, there's an elephant. Yeah, we got zoos here. Like, have you never been to a zoo and saw an elephant? Like, and what's the big deal? It's an animal. So I just love how people get so excited to see an elephant. Oh, it's a monkey. It's like, oh God, it's people are real strange on that show. A lot of liberals I see. I don't know. I don't. You can kind of tell their politics a little bit, but anyway, it's you end up starting to root for a team, and then you mostly don't like other teams, and it's just really seeing other like I'm going. Oh, I want to go to Sicily. It looked really nice. Not because the show showed me stuff there. They never show them eating and pooping though. Wait a minute, I need a bathroom break. Where's that at? All right, gold and silver. Silver was 80, so it's sitting at 78.86. Why did it go down? No reason. So they can make money on a short option. Gold back to 48.08. We didn't get to 49 yet. We've gotten there, but we are sitting in the 48. Although this did go down to 47.90, but then it shoots back up to 48. Translation, it's all fixed. We know the banks are making money. What the banks don't realize is that the paper's worthless. I don't know how they're missing that. Uh, People, well, that's the reset and the plan. The reset is the dollar will go away. But I don't buy that they're resetting that. I don't. Okay, so what's the new money? You don't need to reset it. You don't need to reset the gold price. Just let the market control it. You don't need to reset the dollar and say, well, the dollar is going to go out, so we'll have a new currency. Well, that's not a reset. Russia's had 8 rubles. They didn't reset anything. It's just, it's no good. We'll come out with a new rule, and they just say exchange it. Anyway, so our friend sent me some emails on don't believe everything you read or say, and don't believe it. Believe me, I'm not the person that believes anything. Very prove it to me, and I'm very much, does it make sense? There's this girl poker player, I think I showed it to you yesterday, where she's analyzing why did you make the bet, which is what I always do. So it's not anything new. It's why did you make a big bet? Why did you go all in? Why didn't you do this? Well, if you had the ace or king, you wouldn't have done that. So she's analyzing that, which is what everybody does anyway. You're always trying to figure out what the other person has. It's basically, I look at it as, what is the bet? Why did you make that bet? Oh, you bet in my game. Oh, you bet $25. You must have a pretty good hand. And you can tell by the player, he throws it in confidently. If they don't have a hand, they either check or they call. They're pulling for a straight or flush. So it's all very obvious what they have as far as why did they make the bet. Really what you're doing is weeding out the bluff, which is what I've just taught you for the last couple of weeks. It's because you look weak, they make a big bet to get you out. And that doesn't take a whole analysis of it. She sits there and talks at the table like Daniel Negreanu, where she's yapping, like, just shut the fuck up and make your decision up. Your decision's got to be in your head, not, you don't verbalize it. When the guy tried, I don't know if he bluffed me or not. I had the kings and it came like 9-7-2, and the guy made a big bet, and I called it. And then on the turn, he made a big bet, and he's watching the TV, and my gut said he's bluffing me, but looking at the TV, what would I do? He obviously had a hand, so I really didn't know what he had. Probably aces, or he had nothing. And what was I going to do with kings? So anyway, I folded, and you just let it go. Okay, I assume he had aces, or he flopped a set or something. Well, he couldn't have flopped a set. He wouldn't have made the big bets, but he probably had aces. I don't know. But sometimes you just throw it in, and you save money by not calling another couple $100. But anyway, that's just the way the game works. Do you call or not? And at the end of the day, you don't know. You don't know what the 2 cards that the other guy has, and you only know your cards. And you can guess at what he has, but if they're smart, they sit there and do their thing, because they're going to show you what they want to show you. Just a second. So that's what you do, but you take that skill to everything, right? So the banks do this. They have the Titanic. In the email, the guy says, well, the Titanic, there was Guggenheim and Strauss and these big guys, rich guys on it, and JP Morgan, the last minute, didn't go. Geez, I wonder who was behind it. That was who came out with this was 1912, and the Federal Reserve came out in 1913. And that was, so the ship was sunk on purpose. Well, that's a hard one, that they ran into the iceberg on purpose and killed, all the people. I don't know about that. It seems hard because, you would have seen the iceberg if the captain actually said, let's go full speed and get in. The captain's in on it. He's going to kill himself. I mean, there's a lot of things that don't add up. Going fast through the icebergs was obviously a mistake, but to sink their own ship, I'm not sure, but okay. Then J.P. Morgan came out with the Federal Reserve, then the next in 1913, and these rich guys. Well, first of all, who's going to be on a ship like that in 1912? Only rich guys. They were against the Federal Reserve. Well, you could have killed them many ways. You didn't need to kill them on the Titanic. When they got home, you could have killed them. So there's a lot of what the bankers do are illegal, but they pay off the government, and that's what happens. So there's a lot. He told me on this is the email on Lincoln, was they took the greenback. The greenbacks were not taken back. The greenbacks inflated to zero. They became worthless. So it wasn't they took them back. He had no money because he inflated. That's what happens when you print all this money for a war. It ends up being worthless. So that's what happened to the greenback. Now, as far as Lincoln's death, he was against something the banks wanted. But there's always going to be that. I'm sure you had that. Well, we had it in France with Robespierre and those guys. There's always some rich banker on the side who wants to take over. The Romans, I'm sure they had their rich bankers besides Caesar. And you had your bad emperors, Nero and what's this called? Caligula. So there's always corrupt bankers and people powerful with money. And that's how these empires always end, is you inflate the money to zero. And that's kind of how it happens, is the bankers keep printing it for themselves. And, so yeah, I believe me, it takes a lot for me to confirm one way or the other. But that's why he says you look happier when you're talking gambling. Well, because gambling, I understand that. And I like winning. Hitting the 2 basketball games the other day was good. Philly didn't go over yesterday. I got to see the Golden State game, but that's my area of expertise is the football betting and gambling overall, and trend analysis and problem solving. And with the banks, you don't know it as much because you're not really seeing the winner and the loser. They're not playing a game and this team won. Oh, the Steelers won. Oh, I picked them and pat myself on the back. With banks, you really don't know. We know Comex is bullshit. Then I was watching something on the on Trump's kids, how they did this bullshit crypto coin. All this crypto is bullshit. I'm warning you. So they sold it. And some guy, this son gave him $20 million or something. And then they stole it. And then I know he's suing them. You got to be careful with this digital crap. It's just phony as hell. So keep that in mind. So, yeah, when I talk now, Austrian economics, I know inside and out. So I have no problem understanding it. I understand it. But when you get into the options, I'm a little bit like, I know they're all fixed, they're price fixed, they're all phony. They're selling paper gold that doesn't exist and paper silver. As I was telling you yesterday, there's far more ounces of gold and silver than there are physical. How can you do that? Well, let's do an auction. I'm going to sell, 10 Mickey Mantle cards. I don't have it. I have one. I'm going to sell 10. Okay, and people pay me $1 million. Where's the card? Oh, well, it's a paper card. I don't really have the card, but I can sell you an option. I mean, that's just, I'd be in jail in 5 minutes because that's totally illegal. But that's the point of it. It's, you got to keep that in mind. What's legal, what's really happening. But do I believe it? Well, like I say, I don't believe that we went to the moon. I don't believe 9/11 was a gold robbery. I believe not. Jets just happened to run into the trade towers. Yeah, I'm sure that happened. And oh yeah, and some guys who hadn't called in sick for work in 10 years were sick, and it was all an explosion. That I can see, but to tell me it was a terrorist attack, you're smoking something, boys. It was clearly a gold robbery. So I don't believe what they say. I kind of try to problem solve it, and so you see what's happening with that. But what's happening now, Trump is playing games, trying to make money as he kills everybody. It's like the Titanic. Well, we sunk the Titanic and killed all those people, but then we could get the Federal Reserve in. So it was worth it, right? Such bullshit. But here it's a different story. What's Trump doing with the war? How is he profiting on it? The defense contractors getting more bids, I guess, but from whom, I don't know. I doubt Iran's going to the defense contractors. The U.S. has no money. And this is this part I struggle with the bankers. Even though they're making money, do they realize the money's not worth anything? I don't know. They've got to be Austrian economics. If they're Keynesians, they do not understand that. So they'll just keep printing money and printing, thinking, well, we got $10 million or we got $1 billion, but do they know it's worthless? And this is the ace up our sleeves. We know it's worthless. We're in the gold and silver. Now you can keep gold down 48.02, silver 78.70. You can keep it down for a little bit, but BRICS is there. And all we can say is, well, BRICS is buying all this gold. BRICS is buying all this silver. So forget that silver goes into solar panels. It's money. And that's what you got to realize with silver. It is what it is. See, I don't get this. We are buying in your neighborhood. See the offer we have for your house. I'm sorry. I don't believe that I own a house. I don't really understand where they people think I have a house. We can do your shower. We can do your roof. I mean, it's like, dudes, I don't own a shower. All right. So that's gold and silver. Let's see what the market, although the market's phony too. Where's my... Let's see. Here it is. So the market's down right now, down $25 at 48,438. Now, obviously, we know this is bullshit, right? So we get that. So I don't need to, don't believe everything you hear. Well, do I believe it? No, I simply don't think that at all. And most of the things I do, I don't believe anything I hear. When it comes to football, I know what the line should be. So when the line comes in, I know if it's a good line or not. All right, let's go to basketball and see what happened last night. Now, apparently, it's not a 3 out of 5 now. It's a one game to get in. And then I guess that goes to 3 out of 5. Very confusing why they have this one game thing. So, Wednesday, the Sixers win 109.97, which is 16-10-206. We're over 223. We lose. Orlando doesn't score, but we win on our Golden State San Diego game. Golden State 126-121 at 247. We're over 221. So we go 3-1 with these bullshit playoff games, but it didn't matter. We've got the code to know over under on the teams, and they were all, none of them had good defenses. Orlando must really suck. That's all I can say. All right. No games tonight, games tomorrow. Now, I guess these are 4 out of 7. This is still playing tournament. So the Hornets against Orlando and Golden State, Phoenix. So what the fuck's going on? I don't know. So what? There was 4 teams in each conference. The 2 winners now play each other to get in, I guess. Charlotte or Orlando. Let's see. We had Orlando lost and Charlotte won. So then there was Miami and Philadelphia. So Charlotte plays Orlando, which makes 0 sense since Orlando lost. Why is Orlando and Charlotte West playing tournament, Golden State at Phoenix? Then you get to Saturday and you get the first round. So what is this play-in? Oh, the play-in round then goes to Sunday. Okay, so Philadelphia and Portland are in as the 7th seed. Okay, so the winner of these 2 games tomorrow will play Oklahoma and the Pistons. And lo and behold, these are actually on TV, ABC, NBC. Wow, amazing. Saturday's games. Of course, they're on Amazon, so nobody's going to watch it. However, they put the Rockets-Lakers game on ABC. So nobody will watch Toronto, Cleveland, Minnesota, Denver, and Atlanta, New York. They're on Amazon. Why are they on Amazon? Am I going to go buy Amazon to watch bullshit first round playoff games of basketball, which is so boring right now? Probably not. See, Magic made the game very good, entertaining, and Larry Bird and Isaiah, even Lambeer, watching him push around the guy is going, I didn't touch him. So you had that, and that was, that's what saved basketball. But now you're just shooting these 3-point shots because analytics have come in and ruined basketball like they've ruined baseball, and they're trying to ruin football. And analytics, nobody questions, are they correct? They only question, well, a 3-point shot's worth more than a 2-point shot. True, but when you factor in that you shoot maybe 25% on a 3-point shot, and it's probably less in the playoffs and against certain teams versus a slam dunk or a layup, you're probably going to make 98% of the time. So in the long run, I'm going to make more 2-point shots than I am 3. And when you miss a 3, it leads to a fast break because the rebound comes out long and the wings are out, and then there's slam dunks. So you really, when you miss a 3-point shot, there's a big penalty to it. When you miss a layup or a little short in the paint shot, it doesn't necessarily lead to a fast break. So again, they're not telling you when you miss. And again, it's ruining the game. And it's the teams that go with this are basically idiots. Again, coaches that don't know what they're doing, and they're just following the analytics. John C., hello, good morning. So it's the same thing in football. Look at there's 10 coaches fired last year. There was 7 or 8 fired the year before, and every year there's 7 or 8 fired. And these are normally the coaches that are going forward on 4th and 1 because analytics tells them to, or they go for 2 and then they win 3 games because they're idiots, and then they get fired because you only won 3 games. Yeah, but I listen to analytics. Yeah, but how did that work out? So analytics does not work, but they're not questioning that. And that goes to the gentleman's email of don't believe what you see, or don't trust everything. And I certainly don't. But that's what you're getting at, is people believing that the analytics works. They're not questioning it. Well, we'll just take a bunch of 3-pointers because Steph Curry did it. Well, Steph Curry's, you know, it's like George Gervin. You don't see a lot of those guys, but even George Gervin wasn't taking shots 30 feet away from the basket. So I mean, a pure jump shooter is good, but he doesn't play defense usually. And it's just a stupid game because you're just standing there and you're shooting three. I mean, I see teams up 2 points, just get the basket and they go for three, or they're down 2 points, tie the game up, or they're down. No, it's better that the game's tied. And then they take this long 3-point shot and they miss. Duh. And then the other team comes down and wins the game because you're taking a 3-point shot in a tied game. You don't understand the game. You don't understand what you're doing. You shouldn't be taking long 3-point shots when the game's tied or up 1 or down 1. You should be taking dunks, and they don't understand the concept of the game because they're going, well, analytics works. No, it doesn't. See, it's again, people being told things and not analyzing and being problem solver and going, does this really work? Does this make sense? And it doesn't, but that's the point. The coaches are so stupid, they can't coach. Again, if I see another coach pinch hit their number 4 hitter for a guy hitting 0, I'm going to lose my mind. The Tigers keep doing it. They keep taking their 4 hitter out because a lefty comes in, and then he can't hit lefties. So why is he batting 4th? Why is he in the league? I'm sorry, I've never seen a league so ridiculous in my life. Well, that's analytics. The lefty can, he'll hit the righty better, but his batting average against lefties is weak. Against every lefty or just certain lefties? And so we'll bring in the guy who hits lefties, but he's hitting 0. So what you're telling me in baseball, you got a bunch of hitters that when a guy is hitting 300 and he's left-handed, that means he's only hitting 300 against righties because he's not facing lefties. So he's really not a very good hitter. He's a bad hitter. Why do you have him batting 4th or 3rd or 5th in your lineup? The Tigers crack me up. They keep batting this Ricky Green and this Torkelson like 3rd, 4th, 5th. They're hitting about 175. And that's all they are, is 175 hitters. Torkelson had a big year last year. I think he hit 220. He's not a major league player. Neither of them. This is Ricky Green's the guy that knocked out the other guy. Doesn't know how to play left field. He doesn't understand. There's the center fielder has the ball, and you have to look at the center fielder. Don't give me this shit. I played outfield. I know. I can see a ball, and I can look. I can look at the ball and quick glance at my outfielder next to me, and see if he called it off. And if he calls it off, that's one thing. If he doesn't call it, then I got it. And you have plenty of time to quickly look, especially on a ball that was hit like that. It was a pretty high ball. So you're just sitting there. The guy doesn't understand the concept of even playing the outfield. He can't hit, and he's on your team. And again, this is what all the teams, they have a bunch of minor leaguers. Going through the box scores yesterday, I'm just, what the fuck? 8 guys hitting under 200. 8 guys on your roster, 7 guys, 8 guys. I found one team I stumbled on had 5 hitters hitting over 275. I almost fell down. So you've really got to read into the detail. But I'm trained to do that from football, and I do it in poker. So when it comes to banking and the economy and everything, I know that the gold price is fixed. I'm not naive. I know COMEX is a paper price where they're doing options, and there is no real physical price of gold and silver. I understand that, but I'm looking at what Bricks is doing, and they're buying it. So I understand Bricks is the is the team that are going to raise the gold and silver price. So that's why I get optimistic about gold and silver, because if we just left it to the bankers, the JP Morgans, they would freeze it down and it would be price fixed. But again, they're dealing in paper gold and silver that aren't real. Oh, I'm going to sell you, but I don't really have the physical. I just have the gold. So again, but when JP Morgan runs the country, they run the government, that they're not going to shoot themselves. So keep that in mind. All right. So Saturday's basketball, Toronto goes to Cleveland 5-4, the Minnesota and Denver 6-3. Atlanta goes to New York and the Knicks, and the Rockets go to the Lakers. And then we've got Sunday, we've got Philadelphia going to Boston. They're going to get murdered. So whoever wins this West one between Golden State and Phoenix plays Oklahoma. Whoever wins the East one will play Detroit. And Portland is playing San Antonio. So I'm confused why two teams are in and two teams have to play again. Very, very strange. I don't really get the play in. What did you do? There's the top 8 teams make the playoffs, not let's have a playoff. Is that what football is going to do now? Let's have another game. It's so stupid. All right, let's look at our baseball. How did we do yesterday? Now, I really don't know. I kind of see the scores, but I don't know what I bet on because it's based on the pitching. So let's see. All right. Well, Arizona and Baltimore were on when we looked. It was already on. It was like a 12 o'clock game, and Arizona won 8-5. They got pretty good hitting. So again, that was an over game. Arizona's hitting. Baltimore's not much pitching. They need Jim Palmer back. Cleveland and St. Louis, we went Cleveland over 9, and they scored 8. So that's a loser. St. Louis can hit. Cleveland can hit. I didn't think the pitching was all that. We'll take a look at that game. The Red Sox 9, Minnesota 5. We had Minnesota, but no bet. We had Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh won 2-0. So that was good. We have KC under 8.5 with Detroit 2-1. That wins. We also played KC with Seth Lugo, and that lost. So we won 1 and lost 1 in that game. Lugo, it was a 1-0 game for a long time, and Detroit just sneaks it out, just getting lucky. But the under 8.5 with Seth Lugo was good, and the Tigers don't hit. The Cubs they win 11-2 over the Phillies. There you go. California, we have, and they lose to the Yankees 5-4. We didn't bet that. Atlanta is a bet, and let's see. They win 6-3, so we won with Atlanta. We have Tampa Bay, and the Rays win 8-3, so we win with Tampa. Most of the streaks stayed true. Toronto, they lost 2-1, so that ends their streak. The Dodgers, they win 8-2. We had them for 4 units. That was the big play. And San Diego wins 7-6. So we had them. Other scores. So let's run through it. The Reds 8-3. We didn't play. I didn't play all of them. really indecisive on what I'm going to get. The Cubs 11-2. We talked. The Pirates win 2-0. The Yankees show up. Who know? You know who know what they don't score for a month and then they 5-4 you. The Braves 6-3. I think we had them. Yeah, we had Atlanta. Brewers 2-1 over Toronto. What was that all about? Let's take a look at that game. Why didn't I have the under in that game? Well, let's see who the pitchers were. Let's see what they did to fuck this game up, the managers. So if we look at it, Toronto scores a run in the first, and Milwaukee scores two in the eighth. Where did I miss this under? Well, we look at the pitching. Dylan Cease, 6 innings, and that's probably why I bet it. Dylan Cease, 6 innings, and gives up 2 hits. And he pitched 106 pitches. He pitched over 100 pitches, 1.74 ERA. Fluharty comes in for 2/3 of an inning with his 5.14 ERA, but he doesn't hurt us. Fisher comes in with the other part of the seventh inning with a .93 ERA. Now, this is the problem. Why didn't he pitch the eighth inning? He's got a .93 ERA. So now you bring in T. Rogers, who gives up 2 hits, 2 runs with his .93 ERA. So where am I? Where was the under in this game? Let's go to Milwaukee. And I would imagine their pitcher sucks. Yeah, Patrick, 6 2/3 with a .95 ERA. That's not who was pitching. I would have bet a .95 ERA guy under with Dylan Cease. So Patrick, did he, well, maybe this made him down to .95. I don't know. Let's see if we can get a read on this Patrick guy. So he beat KC 5-2, lost to Washington 7-3. So he pitched 5 innings against KC, 3 innings against Washington, and now 6 against Toronto. He's got a 3.53 ERA last year. Oh, so this year he's pitched 4 games and it's got a .95 ERA. So I don't know how I would have missed that. Against Dylan Cease would have been an easy under. And what was the line on this game? 7.5. So this is an easy 7 under. Yeah, I didn't see the pitching. Houston 3-1 over. Where did that go? Houston 3-1 over Colorado. Don't have that. Oakland 6-5 over Texas. Stayed away from that. Although I probably liked it over Texas. Yeah. And the Dodgers 8-2. We did have the Dodgers, as the Mets are now West Coast from the East Coast. Don't forget that. And then so now they've lost Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They lost 3 in a row going to the West Coast. Now the fact they played the Dodgers, but we had a pretty good. We had a -192. I also liked the game under, but I didn't bet it. I bet the Dodgers, and it actually went 8-2. All right. So Let's go to today's game. So I got to go to covers to get the pitching. 4-16. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is look at the streaks. That's what gave us the Tampa Bay win, the Atlanta win, the Dodger win, and the San Diego win. Just plain streaks. So let's see what we got today. In the American League, Tampa Bay is on a 5-game win streak. We got Detroit's now on a 5-game win streak. See that, but they're playing at home. So they go to Minnesota, they lose 5 in a row. Then they come home and they get Miami, and then they get with Kansas City, not really good teams. And now they've won 5 in a row. And then we've got, that's it for the American League. And now the National League. The JETSs have lost 8 in a row, 3 in LA, nothing, and San Diego's now won 7 in a row, and Colorado's lost 6 in a row. All right, so now we got at least 5 bets: Tampa Bay, Detroit, San Diego on hot streaks, and the JETSs in Colorado are on losing streaks. And, I'm only looking like 4 and above. We had a fun time with Milwaukee last year. They won 13 or 14 in a row. We just nailed them. And then the Yankees under, we nailed them for 2 weeks. So we're always looking for streaks because everything happens in streaks, even though you don't maybe believe in streaks. I certainly do believe in streaks. I just think there's patterns, and I pick up patterns really well. And that's made me a really lot of money, especially in football. So you look at the pattern and they keep winning, keep betting them. Like I say, when you play roulette and black's hitting, you don't say, well, red do. No. Blacks do, black's hitting until red hits. And when red hits, red's hitting. When the greens hit, the 0 is in the double 0, and I guess they put a 000 in. So they want to increase their odds. My advice is never play a table with 3 zeros. It's bad enough with the 0 and the double 0 because you're not getting fair odds, but at least now a 000, forget about it. And do the casinos really think we're this stupid? You've got to give us a chance and mathematical odds that are pretty good at winning. But when you take a blackjack from 7 to 6 to 6 to 5, you're killing our odds. I don't want to play. I'm going to take my ball and go home because you're not even being fair. That was the one thing at craps. It was always true odds. If you played the pass line or the come line and an 8 hit, you'd get whatever the 6 to 5 odds. And when the 10 and 4 hit, you got 2 to 1 odds. You bet 100, you win 2. That you got true odds, because that's the true odds on dice that you're going to hit the 10 and the 10s and 4s are 2 to 1. And I can't remember what the 9s and 5s, I think, were 3 to 2 or something like that, if I can remember. It's been a while since I played craps. All right, so let's go to today's Thursday, April 16th. Notice how they keep shoving the taxes down your throat. Like, oh, tax day is tax day. Yeah, what we're saying is don't forget, you got to pay your taxes, and off you go. So anyway, pay your taxes. We need money. We need money. And I keep getting the guy outside of the gym going, I'm running for Congress. And when I get done laughing, I'm like, oh, so you're going to get the defense contractors, lobbyists to pay you off. So you're running to get the $1 million from the lobbyists. Yeah, good luck. I'm not voting for you. You're all crooks. How does anybody vote for anybody anymore? It's all crooked. Well, we want Trump because he's he's going to stop the war in Iran in one day, or in the Ukraine in one day. A year later, it's even gone stronger, and now we're invading Iran and Venezuela. And although that wasn't much of a war, Venezuela, but now we're in Iran. You're still in Ukraine. You haven't even got out of that yet. Well, we're going broke. We must have a war to save ourselves. Oh my God. Are you really this stupid? And I hope the sons go to jail for doing some money laundering with this stable coin and this other coin that they're all this digital bullshit. Anyway, and then Trump makes the speech. So they short it before he makes the speech. Oh, everything's fine. And then oil goes down. And then he makes the speech. We're going to send them into the Stone Age. And then, of course, oil goes up. Well, they've already shorted it before. So he makes his speech, and then it's not real. He's not really going to do that, but he's just saying it, and the market reacts because, again, it's bullshit. So I don't believe a whole lot. All right. Let's go to Washington goes to Pitt. They're not on our list. We got Griffin for Washington with a 1.80 ERA against Ashcraft, 2.12, total 8.5. We'll go under Pitt, under 8.5, 2 units. But I want to confirm who the fuck is Griffin. Ashcraft, I know. I didn't think he was that good. Foster Griffin, birthplace Orlando, school, the first academy in Florida. What was that, like a high school? First academy. Game logs. They beat Philly 13-2, lost to the Dodgers 8-6, beat Milwaukee 3-1. He pitches 5 innings. He gets 5 hits, 2 runs, 5 hits, 1 run, and 1 hit, and no runs against Milwaukee. Milwaukee can't hit, can they? So this guy, is he legit? I don't know. It's only 3 games. Brandon Ashcraft School, Robinson, Texas. What is this, high school? Why are they putting high schools down? They didn't go to college? What the fuck? Game log, 3 games. He goes 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 4 hits, 1 run. Ashcraft, 2025 had a 2.71 ERA, 26 games, but they only started 8. So he's a reliever, and there's 3, so I don't smell what he's cooking. We'll go under, but we know he's only going to go 4 or 5 innings, both these clowns. The 49ers and the Bengals, again, they're not on the list. The Bengals are 126 favored, 8.5. Rupp, 3.38 goes against Burns, 3.38. Total of 8.5. I don't have these guys written down. I don't know if they're hitting. I'm going to pass on it because I don't know. I would go over with these weak pitchers, but I don't know. So let's not. I don't know how good they're hitting. KC, Detroit. Bubic with the 2.50 against Cater Montero. KC's a 113 favorite, 8.5. I'm going under. Detroit has no offense. KC under 8.5. That's 2 units. They're not going to hit Bubic. But then we have Detroit on a hot streak, and they're 104. So, okay, we got to bet Detroit plus 104. Although we don't like Montero. All right. Well, I'm not going to bet it for 2 units, but the 5-game winning streak says we bet Detroit. Or Detroit. California and the Yankees. So all I did there is I took KC under 8.5. Even though the streak's there, because it's baseball and it's pitching, it's far different than football or basketball. Football, I got Mahomes every game, and he's not coming out because he's not a crybaby like Scooble. So he's going to play every game. And so you're betting on Mahomes. Here, you've got, Detroit's on a 5-game win streak, but here's this guy who stinks, this pitcher. So it's hard to bet on the pitcher when he stinks. All right. California goes to the Yankees. The Yankees, my buddy Max Fried, 1.93 ERA, 284 and 10. I don't have either of these on a streak. 284 and 10. How can it be 10? Who's this Bruce Sutter guy? Brent Sutter, age 36. Where are they getting this guy from? I guess he's a reliever. No, he's not really. So last 2 years at Cincinnati, he had a 4.52 ERA and a 3.15. Colorado, he had a 3.38. Milwaukee, he was at Milwaukee for 8-9 years. Best ERA was 3.07. So liar, liar, this guy's not a starter. This guy basically stinks. That's why Max Fried is the 284. So I think we take the Yankees with Max Fried minus 284. We'll go 2 units. Again, it's do we care if it's 284? If it wins, it wins, right? You got Max Fried against some clown 38-year-old for California. Yeah, I'll take the Yankees. Toronto and Milwaukee, and none of these are there. It was 2-1 yesterday. Milwaukee won. Milwaukee minus 114, 8.5. The game's in Milwaukee. Corbin with the 9 ERA against Sprout with the 21 ERA. Okay, we're going over here. Milwaukee over 8.5, and that's 2 units. I mean, you just got terrible pitching. They probably will only pitch 3 or 4 innings. That's the key out of this. You think, oh, 21, they're going to hit 10 runs on him. They're not. He's only going to pitch 2 or 3 innings. So he's maybe the reliever, or I doubt he's a reliever with 21. Oh, maybe he is. He had a couple innings and gave up 6 or 7 runs. You're going to have a 21. There we go. Tampa Bay, Chicago. Tampa Bay's on a losing streak. We got Mats 3.94 against LaShore. Tampa Bay is minus 126, 8.5. Who's this LaShore guy? Jordan LaShore, 27-year-old from Tampa. And I think he's a reliever. Yeah, he's pitched 8 games, hasn't started any. He's got a 4 ERA, 3.92 ERA. This guy never starts, 6.3. This guy sucks. So this guy's terrible for the White Sox, and yet Tampa's on the losing streak. So we got to bet the White Sox, which I'm not going to bet here. This looks, well, I can't even bet over because the White Sox don't have any hitting. So I'm just going to pass on this game. We'll put the White Sox down because of the losing streak on Tampa, but I can't play it. Texas goes, see, it's all pitcher dependent. Even though they're on a losing streak, I couldn't bet Detroit, and I can't bet the White Sox. Texas at Oakland, not on radar. We've got Texas minus 112, 8.5. Games at Oakland at the high school, the Jack Tatum High School. We had Jack Leader, 5.14 ERA against Lopez, 7.02. I got to go over here. This is an easy one. Texas over 8.5, 2 units. Oakland scored. Well, Oakland's been playing these 1-0, 2-1 games, but I don't feel that with a 7 ERA and a 5 ERA is not going to be 2-1. Baltimore goes to Cleveland. Again, nothing there. Cleveland 121 and 8. The game's in Cleveland. We got Shane Baz, 4.50 ERA for Baltimore, and Messick, a 0.53. Who's Messick for Cleveland? Messick is 25 out of Florida. Oh, he's a Florida State, Bobby Bowden, prime junior, prime senior. 3 games, 4-2, 6-5, 6-0, all wins for Messick. Pitching 5 and 6 innings. And he's only given up 1 run to the Cubbies. And he started 7 games last year with a 2.72 ERA. So this guy's fairly legit. for Cleveland. This is Cleveland. Yeah. So Cleveland minus 121 and 8. Well, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Cleveland under. They can't hit under 8, 2 units. Colorado, Houston. Here we go. Colorado on the losing streak. 2 pitchers with no ERAs means they haven't pitched. Houston a 162 and 8.5. So I got to go Houston on the Colorado 6-game losing streak. Houston minus 162, 2 units. Seattle, San Diego. Seattle is on the win streak. Castillo with the 7 ERA for Seattle, and Ferris Bueller with the 5.25. So what looks like an over. We're going to take San Diego. Plus 107. Wow. Why are they the dog when Seattle's on a 6-game losing, or no, San Diego's on a 5-6-game winning streak. So I'm going to take San Diego, and that's it. So no Mets. They played the Dodgers. They're off today. Tampa Bay and Detroit. We're not getting pitching. All right, so let's look at the plays. Pittsburgh under 8.5, 2 units. KC under 8, 2 good pitchers, 2 units. Detroit plus 104. I'm not betting. I don't like Montero, but you certainly can. They are on a 5-game winning streak. The Yankees minus 284 with Max Fried. Whoever they're playing, who's the Yankees playing? California. I don't think they have enough hitting against Fried to get to 10. I mean, this seems like an under bet, but also Fried. So we'll take Fried at 284. Milwaukee over 8.5, 2 units. We're leaving the White Sox game alone, but Tampa is on a 6-game losing streak, so we should bet them. Texas over 8.5, 2 units. Cleveland under 8, 2 units. Houston, again, on the Colorado losing streak, minus 162 for 2 units. And San Diego on a 5-game winning streak, plus 107 for 2 units. So it's 2, 4, 6, 8. Who do we appreciate? Bears. That's from the Bad News Bears, right? So that's 8 picks. Basketball, we have nothing today. Tomorrow we'll look at it. We had the Masters last week. We don't really give a shit who's golfing. There just isn't enough good golfers to watch it, which is the problem in every sport. You watch baseball because you had Joe DiMaggio, and then you had Mickey and Willie Mays. That was on The Amazing Race. They went to San Francisco, and there was a clue where the Say Hey Kid is. They have a statue of Willie Mays in front of the ballpark, and it was like, get at the Say Hey Kid. And the people didn't know who the Say Hey Kid was. I'm like, oh my God, what a bunch of idiots. This is what I noticed from watching The Amazing Race. And that's the only show I watch. And I really don't even watch it. It just happens to be on Tubi right now, or Pluto. And I'm like, okay, I can only watch so many James Bond movies twice. The whole collection's on Netflix, but it ends April 20th. So I watched all the movies. Not all of them. I don't like all of them. I hate the Pierce Bronson ones. And I'm not a big Dr. No one. I thought that was kind of stupid. So I like From Russia with Love as I would. I actually have a friend, Lena, who looks a lot like the girl in the movie. I showed her and she says, "Who's that girl?" And I says, "It's you." And it was some Italian model back in the 1960s who was in From Russia with Love. And it looked just like my friend, Lena. Anyway, so you watch that. So I'm watching it, and I'm noticing how strange the people are. You don't know who Willie Mays is. Oh, my God. The other thing that sticks out is they'll end up in the last couple of races were Chicago, San Francisco, New York. The cab drivers couldn't speak English. My favorite team, the green team, lost because they get a cab driver who can't speak English, and then he can't, or apparently not very good. And then they wanted him to stay, and he said $100. And the guy was like me, he was stubborn, and said, "I'm not giving you $100 to stay, and then $50 fare." And it cost him $1 million to do that. But um, they're getting smarter by getting a cab and telling them to stay until they do their thing. But they can't. They amazing how many cabbies in Chicago, San Francisco, LA, New York do not speak English. These are all the foreigners coming through, and they're uneducated, no skill set, so they drive a cab. And you would think you'd learn English if you're in fucking New York or San Francisco. Probably best to learn English. You're living in America, and they don't. And the team lost because of it. And they were a pretty smart team. I really liked the team. I thought they were intelligent enough. A lot of these teams are idiots. And then there's these girls bitching, "Oh, it's so hard." Well, you're on a fucking race with all these little tests. What did you think you were getting involved in? Don't do it if you're going to cry and bitch about everything. But I see that's the problem in the world now, that people are just playing video games. People are afraid of hard work. They're afraid of certain things. They're not able to think clearly. Again, if it's me playing the race and I'm in New York or anywhere in the US and my driver doesn't speak English, I'm not taking him. And that's where the problem solve that into don't be in a hurry, right? So you don't really want to be in a hurry in a race per se. You do want to be in a hurry, but if you take the wrong cab driver and he doesn't wait for you and you're in an area where there's no cabs, you're not thinking, 5 steps ahead like I do. So I would go, well, I need a cab. You don't speak. Will you wait? You don't speak English. I'll get another cab driver who I'll give you $100. If you just wait for me, I'll give you the 100. Things like that. But it's funny. The guy would cry, "We're going to lose. We're going to lose." And the girl was great. She was fantastic. The type of girl y'all want, pretty but calm and stoic and smart and just very good. Anyway, so now I'm watching the one I'm watching now. There's Big Brother, there's the Survivor, and the Amazing Race. So I think 3 teams from each, or I think there's 11 teams in it. And the people from Survivor are a bunch of idiots. They're just scammers. They're all getting out. They're not, "Oh, I didn't expect the Amazing Race to be something like this." What did you watch it? Of course it's like that. They had Cedric Sabalas in the NBA on. What the fuck was he doing on there? He had 3 heart attacks. He's 50 pounds overweight. He does a boat thing where he's bigger than the boat and the boat's sinking. And, he lasted like 2 or 3 legs. And you're like, well, what was he doing on there? And they had Joey Chestnut, the hot dog eater. And he has no skill at all. He just can eat hot dogs. I guess he drinks a lot of water to keep his stomach loose so he can eat all those hot dogs. I think he uses a lot of water. So he kind of cheats, or he knows science that if you water your hot dog down, you can get more. I don't know. Something where he's kind of cheating, where if it was me, I'd just eat the hot dog in the bun. And okay, I ate 20 of them and that's it. But he wets the bun and makes it that. I don't know. But he did nothing. And then some IndyCar driver got to 4th place. And I never heard of the guy. It's not like AJ Foyt or Bobby Ellison or El Unser. Is like Joe Blow. Like, who is this guy? And I don't know why Indy went down, but you don't even pay any attention to Indy, the time travels. We never watch the Indy 500 anymore. We used to all the time. And again, it goes back to you watch the star because you want to kind of not worship the star, but you want to have somebody you can relate to. I know when I watch bowling, you'd like watching Mark Roth or Marshall Holman or Earl Anthony. And in golf, you'd watch Jack Nicklaus. So you kind of were living through them. Oh, I hope he wins. And you'd feel good if Nicklaus won the Masters or whatever. And you'd root for them. And if you don't have them, you don't have anybody to root for, basically. And that's where we're at. You just don't have, you don't care about anybody in baseball or basketball, football. We like Mahomes. He's a winner. I think we want to be winners. So we relate to the winner. Joe Burrow, great quarterback. But we don't relate to Lamar because he's not a winner. He keeps losing, so you don't like him. And I think that's just what happens, who you like and who you don't like. And that's where we're at. And that's the problem with sports and the Indy 500. There's no AJ Foyt or Al Unson or Booby Unser. And so you don't really, you're like, who do I root for? See, if you don't have that, even in the Amazing Race, I'm rooting for the green team. I like the team. Very good. To root for, like, you felt good when they won their leg, and you felt bad when they lost the race because they couldn't find a cab driver. And I think that's part of the problem with the show. You're relying on going to China and getting a cab driver who speaks English. There should be either give them a car or you give them drivers. But you shouldn't lose a race because the cab driver goes the wrong way or you can't get a cab driver. That's a huge problem in the race because they lost because their cab driver left and they can't find a cab because they're in a spot where there's no cabs. Now, the guy was from New York, should have known that, but still the cab driver wouldn't stay. But again, if you would have got an English-speaking one in New fucking York, Long Island, the guy can't speak English. But that's unfair to me. That's an unfair game. They should all not have to worry about getting the cab driver. Now, when they give them the car and they're driving, well, that's a different story. Then it's up to them. That's part of the game to figure out the route to get there. That I understand. The driver that can't speak English or you can't find a cab, I think is unfair. I think you're running the race, and that's not part of the race, finding a cab driver when there's no cabs around, or a cab driver that speaks English in fucking China or Vietnam or one of these countries. Why would they speak English there? So I find that to be a fault of the race. But that's just normal. Well, we argue about gold and silver all the time. So let's see. I think there was some stuff I wanted to show you. So I want to show you this guy. I'm not sure who he is, Alex Craner, but I did like the thought. Let's watch a little of this.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to grab a true 16-terabyte ultra-large capacity 1000.
As far as the content of his message is, I think it's very sad to hear because there's a certain obscene vulgarity to it. What is this business of bombing a country into the Stone Age? Why? What has Iran done to you? Nothing at all. It doesn't achieve anything. It appeals to the lowest passions in people who believe him, which is a very, very shrinking segment of the population. But then we don't even have to be too abstract about it, because it seems to me that Trump's intention with this is in large part to try to give confidence to markets, because the United States is in a lot of trouble if interest rates continue to rise, and they are rising. I think that about 30% of US Treasury debt rolls over this year. And, every 1% interest rate rise adds about $300 billion to the total debt servicing burden of the United States. So it seems to me that he's trying to boost the confidence of the markets, keep the interest rates low, keep the oil prices low. And I think that that's the whole point of these speeches. Obviously, the markets don't believe him. Nobody believes him. And so his whole dog and pony show is getting very, very counterproductive. And markets are very unforgiving. They don't care. They don't have any ideology. This is collective actions of hundreds of thousands of market participants who don't care, who make their trading decisions for their own reasons. And they've obviously given the verdict that they don't buy Trump's rhetoric. And so from here, we can see that oil prices are probably going to go higher. Interest rates are probably going to go higher. And again, I'd like to remind your listeners that they were already at $140 in 2008, and they were at 120 in 2022. We don't know where this could go, but Trump would be well advised to cut his losses, but he won't. And what he's risking is complete and total catastrophe. Commodities markets are relatively small compared to treasuries and equities, for example, and currencies. These are huge markets. Oil is relatively small. All commodities are relatively small by comparison, and they're very sensitive to liquidity issues. So you could manipulate the price of oil down, and also gold and silver and everything you need to lower the price of, by constricting the liquidity that's available in the markets. The problem is that if you do that, you will get also a big reaction in treasury markets and in the equity market. So the stock market would go down and the bond market would go down. I mean, the prices of bonds, and then you have a corresponding increase in the interest rates. So they really painted themselves into a corner. So in order to keep markets from crashing, stocks and bonds, they need to keep pumping liquidity into them. But that also is raising prices of other things. It's a flood that raises everything. So it's gold's going up, silver's going up, agricultural commodities are going up, and energy prices are going up also. And so whatever they do, it's going to be bad. There's no good outcome. Before this war started, I said that the only winning move would be just to dump Israel and to leave them to their own devices, to stay out. But for some reason, Trump and his people chose not to. They chose to join Israel, to fight Israel's war for them. And now there's going to really be a hell to pay, and there's no good solutions at all. In 2012, the British Ministry of Defense was predicting that the price of oil, due to geopolitical instabilities and energy crisis, that it would go to $500 a barrel. They said that would happen in 2040, 12 years from now. But we don't know. It's impossible to say. One problem with all this liquidity that has been pumped into the market, not just since the war started, but this has been going on practically since 2009. We had quantitative easing. More and more and more money was flooded into the markets. And so they created this enormous amount of liquidity in the so-called shadow banking system. Shadow banking system are financial institutions that have a lot of liquid investable money, but they can't create it like the banks can. They cannot issue loans from nothing. So we're talking about pension funds, about hedge funds, private equity, insurance companies, and so forth, endowments, charities, and so forth. So the total amount of money in the shadow banking system is about $220 trillion. And so if they see the prices of oil going higher, if they get concerned that the prices of energy are going higher, if just a small number of these money managers decide that they want a bigger allocation to crude oil, to natural gas, to things like gold and silver, they can cause a massive spike in those prices. And we have seen over the last 10 years or so that one asset after another, once they gain traction, once they gain popularity, they go almost vertical. One of the last one was silver. I think it practically quadrupled in 4 years. It went from 20-something to $100 an ounce. And price of gold more than doubled. We saw things like Nvidia and Tesla stock and Bitcoin and cobalt, palladium. A lot of these things, they have this hockey stick dynamic that once they start moving up, the move tends to accelerate. And I think that the reason is that all this liquidity is sloshing around in the markets. And it is so enormous that once some investment becomes popular, you have a big stampede. So if that happens with crude oil, who knows, maybe we get to $200 within this year. Maybe we get to 500 in 2-3 years. It's impossible to predict, but this was all unnecessary. This all should not have happened. This will all end up costing enormous amounts of money to people who can least afford it. I think that it will put billions of people at risk of poverty and famine in the world. So that's the CEO of JP Morgan. How and why does he weigh in on geopolitical issues? How and why does he get to say that Iranians are bad people? They're killing, Americans? Why does the United States have 20-some military bases surrounding Iran? Why are they there? That's not the United States. That's not their neighborhood. The explanation is that banks like JP Morgan have financed development of energy assets in the West Asian region, and the sales of those resources generate revenues for these banks because their clients like BP and Shell and ExxonMobil and Chevron have loans. JP Morgan has financed their operations in West Asia. And when their clients repay those loans, that's direct revenue for them. Now, those loans are secured by the natural resource wealth of the region as collateral. And so if the Iranians blow them up, the oil infrastructure, the facilities, the whole shipping infrastructure, then their client's business goes to zero. And then they will not be able to repay those loans. And if those loans cannot be repaid, then they become bad loans, then they become losses.
We have to talk about VR and AI. These services are requiring more and more
pay those loans. And if those loans cannot be repaid, then they become bad loans, then they become losses. And so the loss of that collateral, the loss of that revenue stream could actually collapse the Western banking system because the whole system is completely fraudulent. And it's actually like an inverted pyramid, which is balanced on relatively small segment of money good collateral. But then on top of that, you hypothecate and rehypothecate, and you build this big, giant inverted pyramid that if that money good collateral is removed, the whole pyramid could collapse. And the only way to keep it from collapsing is to print money out of thin air and to backstop all those bad loans. And so obviously, from JP Morgan's and Jamie Dimon's point of view, Iranians are very bad people because they might have something to say about whether that natural resource wealth in the region belongs to the people of that region or whether it belongs to Wall Street or the City of London. As far as Jamie Dimon is concerned, obviously it belongs to him. As far as the people in the region are concerned, it belongs to them. Now, if you're able to intimidate them and bludgeon them into submission where they say, okay, we will be your slaves, we will work for you, but you can take most of the wealth from here, then he's going to say, oh, they're wonderful people, they're Democrats, they are liberal and all these nice things, they respect human rights and acknowledge all the genders and pronouns and so forth. But if they say, no, this is our wealth, we are going to decide how it's going to be used, then they're obviously very bad and they should all be bombed and destroyed back to Stone Age. And that's, as Jamie Dimon gave away, he said, that's more important than the prices and the markets and all these things, because without political control of the region, you lose access to the collateral. And if you lose access to the collateral, then the whole Western system collapses. That is, it's not going to collapse because in stages, they took complete control of the financial system, especially since the pandemic. And so what that means is that, the Fed can print unlimited amounts of money to backstop all these losses and give it directly to the banks. That is, it's not direct because it would be illegal, but they have invented little loopholes and little cutouts that rather than, the Federal Reserve buying the bonds of these failing institutions, they do it through an intermediary. Okay, they kind of made an illegal thing legal if you don't question it too much. But what that means is, if you're printing money out of thin air, you're stealing purchasing power from your entire economy, from every person that uses dollars to earn money, to pay their bills, their pensions, their, education. So what you're doing is you're diluting the purchasing power of the currency that everybody else depends on. And so over time, what you get is inflation, which means that everybody becomes poorer in order for JP Morgan not to fail. Of course, you could even question why on earth is Jamie Dimon even on television? Why is he on Fox News? It's because the whole media thing has become a public relations industry. So if Jamie Dimon has to come out to persuade people that war is good, that we should fight this war harder and quicker, well then, the media is there for that. And nobody's going to tell them the story that you and I are discussing here, that this is a horrible idea, that it's unjust, that it's unfair, that it's barbaric, obscene, vulgar, and is dishonorable. And maybe if you live outside of that media space, maybe you see just how ugly it is. But we've seen all this before. Saddam Hussein was really, really bad, and we had to go fight him. And Bashar al-Assad was killing his own people, so we had to go fight that war. And Muammar Gaddafi was a madman, so he had to go. And Slobodan Milosevic was horrible. We had to go there. The Taliban, terrible. We have to go fight that war. Manuel Noriega, horrible person. Salvador Allende was a communist. That had to be done. It never ends. There's always a justification. Every story is its own story. Every war is justified somehow. And you always have a segment of people who think, okay, they lie to us about all these things, but God, when it comes to Iran, I'm sure they're telling us the truth. So, yay, let's destroy Iran. And then, maybe war will be at peace. Except it won't, because next it'll be Turkey, then it'll be Pakistan, then it'll be China, it'll be back to Russia and so forth. So this will never end. It'll never end until people say, stop and enough. Well, people did say stop and enough, to be fair. And American people, they consistently vote for anti-war candidates. But by now, we should learn the lesson that the whole system is rigged. The system doesn't work. You vote against war, you get more war. So the whole system is broken, I'm sorry to say. But if there's a silver lining in all this, I think that every last person with an IQ above room temperature should understand that the system is broken, that it is impossible to vote your way out.
We know that.
Gold and silver prices are a consequence of the world economy. That view is never going to change, whatever happens, because nothing can happen now that changes the long-term direction of fiat money. It always goes to zero, without fail. In every single monetary system throughout history, it's gone to zero. In this system now, since 1913, when the Fed was founded, most currencies are down 99%. So we have that final 1% to go. But that final 1%, remember, is 100% from here. And that's going to happen. And that fall of 100% we are going to experience. And that obviously leads to massive debt growth, massive inflation, high interest rates, and a lot of problems in the world also. We are going to see the end of this monetary system within roughly 10 years.
That's the sound of it.
Not 10 years, about 1 year. All right, so let's recap. So Alex Craner, I listen to once in a while. I'm not sure of his background. Seems Austrian. So what is he saying? He's saying, well, we know the banks are corrupt. The banks cause all the wars. The banks, as I've explained, and he's reiterating, is that they have the loans out. That's how a bank makes money. They loan their money out and get interest. Interest is what the bank uses to make money. You give them 50,000, they give you 2% back. They take their 50,000, they loan it out for 8%. They make 6%. And they give you, the 8, they give you 2, they make 6. That's how a bank works. That's how they get revenue. That's how their sales are. That's why I keep getting all these phone calls about banks wanting to loan me money, because I am able and willing. I have great credit, and I am able to get the money and pay it back. I never miss a payment. So same thing with how I got the apartment. I've been here 4 years. I made 48 payments now on time and the full amount. So I'm a very good risk. So banks want to charge me interest and make money off of somebody who is a good track record. They're going to pay it back. But that's how a bank works. So as he's talking about Jamie Dimon and this whole oil thing, realize a company doesn't have billions of dollars to invest. So what they tend to do, Shell and ExxonMobil and all the defense contractors and all these big companies take loans out from the banks. that's the system we're in. And the banks then charge them the interest, and the Shell makes money on oil, and Exxon and Mobil and all these, Chevron, BP, they all make money on the oil, and then they can pay the bank back. And so the bank makes all the money because they printed it from nothing. And the war will not allow these oil companies to make money if they get blown up. And then who loses? The banks. And the banks are already losing because the economy is crashing. Everybody who has a mortgage, that's what happened in 2008. You had mortgages, you couldn't pay them back because the interest rate went up, and their monthly payment went from $500 to $800, or from $1,000 to $1,500, and they couldn't afford the increase. So they said, I bought 5 houses because I bought it like a stock. Does that remind us of Bitcoin? And they buy it as a stock, and that's the whole point of it. So they're not stocks, they're houses. They're not that liquid. Again, liquid is easy to get rid of, and illiquid that's hard to get rid of. So it's hard to sell a $400,000 house and actually get $400,000 for it. It's not easy to sell houses. And so therefore, as you lose your job, you're going to not be able to afford the payments, which hurts your credit, and it hurts the bank because the bank's relying on these interest payments as their revenue to be profitable. And then the banks take the money, and then they make these little COMEX things. Hey, let's short the oil and the gold. Now, those are 8 billion banks. There's one in Canada, Toronto Dominion. There's one in, I think, Italy, or Deutsche Bank in Germany, and then JP Morgan and Chase and Bank of America. And I think there's one more there's 8 in total who buy and sell on COMEX. And as long as you have JP Morgan leading it, you're in trouble. So they're the ones who are shorting and buying, and that's how they make money, as long as you don't ask for physical. So that's what these banks do. So JP Morgan's sitting there, and he loans out for houses and to these big companies, and probably the casinos and all these companies. But as they all go broke, so does JP Morgan and these banks, because they're not going to get the interest income that they need. And the wars are really for the defense contractors to make more money, which in turn makes more money for the banks. And then the interest rates go up, which the banks make more money of. But can you afford it? So as he said, they just keep printing money. But the problem with just printing more money is it's major inflation, and the value of the dollar is now, what did we call it here? Here's our new value of the dollar. It's down to like less than a cent now. So that's what you do when you keep printing. But the Keynesians in charge don't get that. They just keep printing, not understanding the value goes down, not understanding the dollar goes to zero. That's why I showed you the Egon one too. The dollar goes to zero. So you can print all you want. However, you kill the value of it. I can eat 18 chocolate cakes, but I'm going to die from the sugar that's going to kill me. So that's really the thought of it. And the point is, you got to be very careful with that. With the goal, so we sit there and we know that they keep printing the dollar. They have no choice. We keep seeing that these companies aren't going to be able to pay their debt, so the banks are going to collapse. And okay, then the Fed, what do the Feds do? Well, they print money, and they call them bailouts, and they print money and give it to the banks. So especially the banks giving the money to themselves, since the banks run the government. JP Morgan runs the country. It's just like the Batman movie, when the latest one, and with the guy from Rounders in it, Don Falcone. He was Knish in the Rounder movie, and they said, well, he's the one running. No matter who wins the mayor race, Falcone runs the city. No matter who wins the president, Jamie Dimon runs the country. So he's going to bail himself out. Well, print me $2 billion to bail out for the loans we don't get and all the silver we owe and all these options that everybody's now asking for the physical, which we can't pay. And that's basically what you get with that. And that's the problem. So you're reading the peripheral, which is why when I get these emails and don't believe everything, that's what I keep explaining. We don't believe anything, but we understand what's going on, and we get to the bottom line. And so we understand they print, the dollar goes to zero. I don't know who this is. I don't know who that is. So that's the problem. It's we follow through, we problem solve it, and that's what problem solving is. The bankers doing these certain things, World War I, World War II, the Great Depression, the Titanic sinking. We understand all that. We're way ahead of the game. And the same thing with 9/11 was a gold robbery. Who else is saying it's a gold robbery? But I mean, that's what you're doing. So that's what I do. So I understand all that, which comes back to the solution is to buy the gold and the silver, because they can't really fuck around with it. They can't print it to zero. They can't. All they can do is these little COMEX bullshits to raise and lower the price, but that really doesn't work. It works to a point, but at the end of the day, it doesn't work, because at the end of the day, it's what was I thinking? The gold. At the end of the day, it's BRICS who's going to control the gold price. So you can control it a little bit, but at the end of the day, you can't. And then here comes COMEX, and then the price of gold and silver goes up, and the dollar goes out. So they can keep printing the dollars, and the value keeps dropping to nothing. But everybody's in the dark, and they don't realize it's not worth anything. So that's really the big problem. You don't realize what everything is, and we understand. That's why we get to gold and silver, and that's why we know it's bullshit. But we know we want to be in gold and silver, but we realize how they're developing the price is false, because it's paper. And we showed you there's 200 times more silver than there is real silver in the ground, 600,000 tons, and they're producing 400 to 1 ounces on these options, diluting it and making the price go down, because it's flooding the market with paper silver, which isn't real. And well, I want the silver. Wow, we don't really have physical, but we do have paper. So you're really getting fucked all over. But that's the best game in town, is the gold and silver, because it can't be printed, and it's the physical gold and silver. And we know once the shit hits the fan, that's the best place to be. Let me see. There was one on Trump. Here's one on Trump's sons manipulating this Bitcoin stuff. So let's.
Quickest way to shrink your prostate.
Best way to fix prostate problems? Saw palmetto? Nope. What about?
You do need to adjudicate that. Trump and Don Jr. are facing some pretty serious accusations of ripping off crypto investors. Look, let me just pause already. There are no good guys in this story, so there's no one to root for. So just let that go. Now I'll continue. They're being accused by a man who seemingly paid off the Trumps to escape prosecution by the Securities and Exchange Commission. But the stage is set for an all-out brawl involving the Trump kids. And remember, there are no good guys here, and there's no honor among thieves. So let's get to these details. The man accusing Trump's sons of ripping off investors is a gentleman by the name of Justin Sun. He himself is a crypto investor. Now, previously, Sun worked overtime to earn the favor of both Eric Trump and Don Jr. When Eric and Don launched their cryptocurrency firm, Liberty Financial, in 2024, the initial fundraising really wasn't off to a great start. But since Justin Sun wanted to, win a little bit of love from the Trump brothers, he saw this as an opportunity and decided to invest in Liberty Financial. Okay, so he went all in on Liberty Financial, investing $30 million and becoming its biggest publicly known investor. His endorsement sent money flooding in from other investors, propelling World Liberty to $550 million in total sales by the conclusion of its fundraising. Sun ultimately purchased at least $75 million in tokens. So he was the largest public investor in Trump's meme coin, but wouldn't you know it? Wouldn't you know it? After he became the biggest investor in Trump's meme coin, the Securities and Exchange Commission charged Sun in 2023 with fraud over crypto trades and illicit promotion. But then, after he did that investment, in March, the case was dismissed after he agreed to pay a $10 million fine. Okay, so they settled it without a lengthy trial or anything like that. It seems like some strings might have been pulled, but the story doesn't end there. In fact, it's about to get a lot more juicy. I want you to remember Sam Bankman-Fried and what he got prosecuted.
Or Jim the Anvil Neinhardt. Okay, so this is why I warn you, COMEX, Bitcoin people. One guy comes in with $50 million, there goes the price. That's what you're dealing with in Bitcoin. This Michael Saylor guy, or the other idiot, Larry Fink. These guys put in $50 million. There goes the price to 120. It's one guy or two guys pushing the price up. Then what do? They sell it. So they're not buying it at $120,000 a coin or a bit. But as soon as it hits there, they dump. And that's why it's down into the 60s now, because they dumped it. And so when you're buying Bitcoin and you think it's going to go up, the only way it goes up is if these losers put in this $50 million. But it's not the free market. There's always a play to it. And it's all corrupt. So you're sitting there buying Bitcoin with no reason, no understanding of it. And it's one guy buying it, pushing the price. And when he sells, you're fucked and you don't understand why is it 60,000. And that's what happens. So people have better things to buy than Bitcoin, but it's not the free market. It's not a free market item. It's a bullshit scam where one guy buys a lot and then it goes up and I want to buy it. And then he sells and then you're like, what the fuck happened? And you're waiting for another big guy with $50 million to invest in Bitcoin to get the price back up. This is not going to happen. Bitcoin isn't real. The market is not, it's not like a stock. It's not like gold and silver. Well, gold and silver is kind of funny anyway, but it's not like a stock where supply and demand. Even the stock market is all fixed. Again, it's the same thing. Some guy buying 50 million shares of Nvidia or Tesla or Amazon jacks the price up, and then you get in, and then he sells it, and he takes his profit, and then you're going, what the fuck happened? That's why I play physical gold and silver. It's the clean. Or even betting football and baseball. Yeah, I'm sure the guys bet $50 million on the Vikings, and then the Vikings lose because it's fixed. But that's why you watch the line, and that's why we play teasers. We're protected in football by the teaser. Baseball, not as much, but we're there. Anyway, let's see what's going on.
And decide for yourselves whether these allegations sound eerily similar to what Sam Bankman-Fried did. So for months, Sun has accused World Liberty Financial of basically ripping off its investors. So this fight just exploded into the open with like name calling and legal threats galore. When Justin Sun, invested in World Liberty, he actually bought millions of dollars worth of the firm's tokens, right? But now he's alleging that World Liberty is preventing him from being able to sell his tokens. They're like, nope, not so fast. So in other words, he doesn't have access to his own resource here, something he invested in. So World Liberty Financial pledged its own tokens, according to the Wall Street Journal. This is bad. Pledged its own tokens as collateral to borrow more than $75 million in stable coins from Dolomite, which is a lending platform founded by World Liberty's chief technology officer.
Welcome to Canes. It's Luke Bryan. What can I get you? Today I'm raising funds with Raising Canes and my...
By World Liberty's chief technology officer. Is there self-dealing going on? And more importantly, are they using the money from investors as their own piggy bank? And this is bad news for Sun and his investment. According to analysis by the blockchain tracking group Bubble Maps, the value of his holdings the value of the holdings Sun has allegedly been unable to move has declined by more than $80 million to about $43 million. Retail traders have reported that they also were blocked from being able to sell their tokens as well.
That's what happened to, what was it, the Wright brothers with the silver guys. They had all their money in silver, but it was in options, not physical. And they couldn't sell either. They could only buy. They couldn't sell and take their money out. So if a stock's losing, all of a sudden Coca-Cola and their president has done something bad and you want to dump your Coke stock, you can sell it, but they wouldn't let them. So when the Wright brothers did it with the silver, COMEX wouldn't let them. Well, the problem with the Wright brothers is they should have bought physical silver, not paper silver. So nobody can come back to me and say, I can't sell my silver when there's huge demand. I go to the coin store and I sell it. It's not a problem. The exchange won't, but the COMEX said, the Wright brothers, you can't sell it, or whatever their name was. Brooks Brothers. They couldn't sell the options, and that's how they got fucked. So if you are doing it, you deal in physical. That's why you deal in physical. Nobody can say, I can't sell that. I can go to the 5 different coin stores and sell it. So no, why would anybody block me? They need the inventory. So that's what we see happening. So again, you're dealing with this crypto and you think it's real and it's bullshit. And I try to warn you, get the fuck out. You're not going to win. Even, okay, when the dollar collapses, now what are you going to do? Your Bitcoin's worthless. Let's say you get out now and you move your money to the bank and then you say, I want the money. They're going to say, you can't have it. We don't have, you sell an ounce at 65, 70,000 for one Bitcoin. How do you get the money? Well, I got to go to the bank. So you're still included in the bank, and the bank's got to release $60,000, $70,000 to you, which they're not going to do. And what are you going to do? Put it in stocks so you can get fucked that way? No, you lose any way you go. That's why we own physical. All this Donald Trump kids, they're as big a crooks as he is. So they won't let him sell so that, as the goes down in value, he's losing. And they've taken the money. And what he's saying with the piggy bank is they've taken all this money and they're spending it other places and they won't let you sell it. And the price goes down and they don't care because they've stole your money. That's why you don't trust crypto. It's not real. You don't know what the fuck's going on with it. At least gold and silver physical, I got it. I know COMEX. I know it's bullshit. It's JP Morgan. With the price, it's a beautiful buy. It's not a beautiful sell yet, but it's a beautiful buy. And we want China and Russia to come in and start giving us a real free market physical price of gold and silver, which will be 10 times higher. And that's what we're waiting for. And the more wars this idiot Trump goes into, or Netanyahu, or any of these guys, the more wars they go into, the more money that's being printed, the quicker it goes to zero. But we're prepared. We have prepared when the dollar, it's not if the dollar goes to zero, it's when it goes to zero. And it won't be 10 years, it'll be like one. You know, nobody knows the exact time, but within, I would say within a year, maybe two at the most, it's worthless. It's already worthless now, but most people haven't caught on yet. They still are using it, even though it has no value. And that's why you keep Rumpelstiltskin it into physical gold and silver. And that's how you have to play the dollar, because it's not worth anything. All right, let's see what other this wonderful idiots are doing.
And then on Sunday, Sun wrote this on X. I have always been an ardent supporter of President Trump and his crypto-friendly policy. As an early supporter who invested heavily in World Liberty Financial, I did so because I believed in the vision that was presented to the public, a decentralized finance platform that would promote financial freedom, remove intermediaries, and bring the benefits of DeFi to mainstream Americans. What was never disclosed to me or any investor is that World Liberty embedded a backdoor blacklisting function in the smart contract used to deploy World Liberty Financial tokens. This function gives the company unilateral power to freeze, restrict, and effectively confiscate the property rights of any token holder without notice, without cause, and without recourse. This is the opposite of decentralization. This is a trap door marked as an open door. So Sun even accused World Liberty of using the crypto community and their investments into World Liberty as their personal ATM. And in response, World Liberty's X account posted the following. Let's take a quick look at this. This is their explanation or response. Does anyone still believe Justin Sun? Justin's favorite move is playing the victim while making baseless allegations to cover up his own misconduct. Same playbook, different target. World Liberty Financial isn't the first. We have the contracts, we have the evidence, we have the truth. See you in court, pal.
Finding a reputable business shouldn't require luck or chance.
The truth. See you in court, pal. I hate everybody in this story, so do I trust the Trump brothers? Of course not. And look, it could be true that they put in a sneaky little clause in the contract that gives them the power to just confiscate the money and use it as collateral for other loans. It looks like that's what's going on here. But time will tell. I mean, this is just my speculation. They do need to adjudicate this in court. We'll be back with the news. But first, I wanted to tell you about something that's helped make my day a lot more.
So it's a Ponzi scheme. I'm taking your money to pay other people. All right, so let's see what else is here. So nothing will happen because Trump will bail them out because he's the president, right? Yeah, I thought I had a... So this guy's saying that Satoshi is CIA. So he's saying CIA invented Bitcoin. I have no idea. Clearly, there's no such person as Satoshi. He'd take credit for it. So, yeah, I could see that. So do you want to trust that? So it's hard to trust Bitcoin. So, again, it's going up because some guy like Sun or Jim the Anvil Neinhart and Beckman Friedman and all these idiots, the OneCoin woman, put a lot of money in. It's a Ponzi scheme. It's a scam. They raise the price. You jump in. The price goes up. They sell. And you're sitting there paying 120 and it's worth 60. That's what Bitcoin is. It's a Ponzi scheme. All right, let's look at this one poker player. Victoria Mitchell makes reads. Hopefully I don't get killed on my video. Poker perfected, so I don't think it's a big.
Slim Care and Vicky with
Reading souls,
It's a bit of a card, the 9 of diamonds.
sniffing out bluffs, and making calls that defy logic.
Come on, I'll give you a spin. Good luck.
Victoria Corin Mitchell doesn't just play poker. She sees through it. These are the plays so surgically precise, they'll have you convinced she's actually reading minds. And remind you why sitting across from her is one of the most dangerous seats in poker. Any player can find a call, but sensing when you're walking into a monster, that's a different skill entirely. And Victoria can smell danger before it even arrives.
Probably insta-call. But, you know, I mean, I just, maybe.
Give me
Maybe I have
chips to
nothing.
go with that.
Maybe I have nothing.
Great play. Now we just hope she gets a king or an off.
But 16,000.
Oh, this is perfect.
16,000.
Now, if I flop like top
Fit in
set,
the
or
dark.
if I flop like
She could
tip
flop a
pair,
straight.
I'd be kind of bummed out.
Let's see what she
She'll
flops.
just escape,
Oh,
right?
I might do something stupid.
You might do something stupid.
Here comes the flop
Dark
and Vicky.
bets really throw-
Watch what happens when 5 60-year-old men all use the same shampoo designed to.
Here comes the flop and Vicky has gotten a 16,000 bet in the dark. She's looking for the pairs.
Oh, look at this.
You don't have to use that for me.
Look at Phil. He's sick. He's sick. How would I have an 8 in my hand? There's 2 8s in my hand.
Obviously, she can sense when she's beat, but can she tell when someone's faking it? Because this is where it gets scary.
Liz has limped here and Vicky with a big hand. 20 more.
Statement.
Liz ain't really got much, but what does she suspect? She thinks she has live cards. Liz has made so many great reads today. I'm surprised she's calling, but it's very reasonable, isn't it?
Yes, it's reasonable. And I'm not sure if
Battle of the Beauties, of course.
if she really has a good read on Vicky.
Check.
That's the one card Vicky didn't want to see, but she is still in great shape.
Yeah, that stops the betting, kind of.
Vicky, sort of the variation play on Phil Hellman's talking to the screen. She's talking to Ian, and he's not in that. Check, 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 check. Or 3 of them, anyway. That's a bit of a puzzle for Vicky. She did well there. She induced the bluff.
Yeah.
Liz is drawing dead. And, I guess that was the beauty of Vicky's check on the flop. She figured if she went all in, she could only get called if she was beaten. She might induce a bluff.
I don't know if she thought that. The heart was a key card for her that she could not.
One sick read is luck. 2 is coincidence. But Vicky? She does this consistently. And that's what makes her dangerous.
So the flop comes 9, 10, king. So Vicky pairs a king, Barney pairs his 10.
She's playing it cute. She's checked to Barney.
There's a bit of history. I mean, they play it together a lot, Barney and Vicky, so they kind of know each other's games. So looks like he's bet 17,000. Vicky's called with top pair. It's a good play.
Checks in the dark.
She's got middle pin and straight draw here as well. Now this is interesting. It's given Barney the nut flush draw as well. Vicky's still leading with the kings. She's also got her open-ended. Sorry, should I say a middle pin straight draw?
Barney looks a bit confused about why Vicky checked before seeing the turn card.
I think Vicky probably knows she's winning now. She'll probably put a bet in, a sort of value bet, to try to get paid.
Wow.
This is a very, very significant moment. If Vicky can call this hand, It's an excellent call. But what's she putting him on? Did he make the flush? Has he just checked on the turn because he's made the nut flush? Could he have flopped the straight? No, he wouldn't bet the straight. Well, this is what she's thinking.
Well, these two have played a lot of poker together.
Has he just come over the top because he recognised that Vicky's bet is just a value bet and that she might put the rest down? They know each other really well, these two.
So you're supposed to have called?
Barney doesn't look comfortable there, James.
No, I haven't got a flush, but if you had... Well, because if you had a straight or two pair or set something, you just call, wouldn't you? Call and turn your hand over. To go all in rather than just call, you either got a flush or I'm winning. You can't, you wouldn't, why would you make that raise with...
If she calls this, it's going to be a great call.
She's showing great powers of deduction here, John. She's ruling out all the hands that he can't have.
Sorry, I just need a minute.
Well, she's working out. It's a very, very difficult call. She's called him.
She thinks she's in front and she's right.
Brilliant call. That is a brilliant call.
Now, in my world, it was an easy call. She makes a bet, he goes all in on the river. But if he had the nut flush, wouldn't he want to call? Wouldn't he bet not all his money, but a little bit, enough to get a call? But the all in is kind of no call. So this is the all in river bet that I warn you about. It's always a bluff because the reason you're making the bet is to not get called, is to get the person out. And if you had the nut flush, you would not bet all that money. You would bet a lot less. And that's where it's at. I mean, so all her deductive reasoning's bullshit. You're all in on the river, and I'm calling because you're bluffing, because you would want me to call. That's the nature of us. That's the nature of gambling. We want to make a bet that you'll call it. Oh, I got 4 kings. Well, I don't want to bet. All in. I want to. How much can I bet to get you to call my 4 kings? Because I know I'm going to win, but I want to get more money out of you. So I make this small bet, not an all-in bet. So the all-in bet on the river like that is always a bluff. Because again, if you had the nut flush, he would want to call it. And the other thing is, she did bet, so he knew she had a hand. So if I know you have a hand, I'm going to make a bet because I know you're going to call me because you have a hand. So I have aces, and and then the flop comes and you hit a set of 9s. You're not going to go all in on me, but I have a good hand because then I come out with my bet. So you check. I come out with my bet because I got aces. And then you got a set of 9s, and I got aces, so you're going to make a big bet, but you're not going all in because I'll call you. But you check raise me, and I fold that. Am I as great as this Vicky girl? Well, I'm probably better than her because I already know all the ins and outs of it. But it's not hard to see it. It's the thought process of why they made the bet. Now she's kind of doing what I do, which is thinking about it, but she's missing 3 or 4 steps that I use. He went all in on the river. He's bluffing. Thank you very much. He doesn't want me to call. So you got to get inside the head going, why did they make such a big bet? They obviously don't want me to call. So if I have anything, I'm going to call. And she did call, and he had 10s and she had kings. So she won the hand. But they're making a big deal about it. But that's what every poker player does, is to try to figure out. That's why when you see them, here comes the river bet and full IVs, like sitting there for 5 minutes trying to figure out what they have. They're doing the same thing. They just don't say it out loud. But they're asking is why the big bet. And when you play 10 to 1, it's a bluff. When he starts making these big bets, he's bluffing. He's trying to get you to fold. And that's the problem. He said, well, you're not going to call 100,000. Not that I have a hand, but that you're not going to call it. Now, how do we link it to banks and the stock market and everything else? I'm figuring that part out, but it's the same thing. I keep getting from the banks. I get, there's this. You can get this 5% return, APY, and you're putting your money into some fund or some money market. But what they're not telling you is the money isn't worth anything. So it all kind of comes back to, you got to understand it. The money isn't worth anything. So I don't care how much money I can get. I know I want to be in gold and silver. And when they tell me, hey, I can put you in a 9% annuity. Yeah, but I'm still in money. I want to be in gold and silver. And that's what I tell the banks. This idiot comes up to me and, you can get 9%. Yeah, but I'm in money. I don't want to be in money. I want to be in gold and silver. So go fuck off. It's the same thing here. I'm going to make this big bet because I want you to fold. Well, if I have something, fine, I'm going to call you. And that's why you shouldn't play. If you don't have anything, you can't call these bluffs. Because even if you call the bluff, you don't have anything to win. I got 9 high. I can't call it. And this guy did have a pair of 10s. But that's what she does, is a lot of times that 4th art will hit. And that's when she figures out he's bluffing. But she's doing it wrong in the fact it's the all-in bet that says I'm bluffing. Not on the flop or the turn. You will get big bets because you don't want the 3rd heart or 3rd diamond or the 5, 6, 7. You don't want the 8 to come out. So you're making a big bet to protect yourself early in the hand. So again, on the flop, I might have aces and then I see 2 diamonds come out, or 7, 8. I'm going to make a big bet to get you to fold because I want you to fold. See, early in the hand, I want you to fold because I have aces and you're drawing to a flush or straight. Late in the hand, I want you to fold because I don't have anything. And so always the big bet is to get you to fold. The question is, early, it's because I have a good hand and I don't want you to catch. Late, it's because I don't have anything and I want you to fold. So you got to understand where it is in the thing. And there's people that bet a good bet on the flop, on the turn. I do that. If I got aces, now I don't have a set of aces. I got aces, or maybe I have ace king and the flop comes with an ace and then a king hits on the turn. I'm betting big on the flop. I'm betting big on the turn. I'm betting big on the river, and hoping that I don't see 3 hearts or 6, 7, 8, 9 on the board. That's when it's difficult. He's 6, 7, 8, 9. The guy doesn't have a straight, but he bets it like he does. That's the hard. I got to fold because you think the bet is the fold, but it's not necessarily. So her thinking it out, she's like 1 or 2 steps behind us, because we'll sit there and I look at the bet, not why did you make it? You're all in on the river. Yeah, you're bluffing. Thank you. Especially when you're checking, and then all of a sudden on the river, you're making the big bet. That means you didn't catch anything, because if you did catch a piece of it, you would just check because, I got 10s. I hope I win. You're not going to make a bet and then the guy makes a big bet and you can't call it. Let's watch one more hand of this girl.
Call it luck, call it instinct. But sometimes it feels like Vicky knows exactly what card is coming. And when it lands, you're already trapped.
Top of ladies for this guy.
$250.
There's the re-race.
You only just got them. You're splashing them about already.
He could get them all.
I'm going to make it 750.
Oh boy, here we go.
And I'll make it all in.
Gus shoves.
Okay, I call.
And Vicky calls.
Vicky has 10s. Gus has queens.
81% chance Gus doubles up.
No comeback from 750.
No.
Save the morning with the new smoky maple bacon on your breakfast sandwiches. Only at your neighborhood Tim's.
I can't win 750 and 40, no.
It was a gimme. We're three-handed, and I re-raised a lot, and that's it. You hit a 10, you win. You don't, I win.
Okay. Let's see what happens.
There's some straight possibilities.
The flop has 2 10s on it.
That probably sends me to the rail.
That's just silly.
That was kind of silly.
See, that doesn't tell me anything about her. That's just she had 10s, she had queens, and she got lucky on the flop. So I don't really understand that had anything to do with her reading. She didn't know she was going to get the 10s. Anyway, that's how poker is, but that's how life is. People show you things and they want you to act a certain way. So when you get that, it's how do you act? Somebody treats you a certain way. Somebody's real nice to you and you're like, okay, what's that about? What do you want? You're very nice. That's wrong. You get it sometimes, like with Daria. I'll hear from her and I need money for food. And then like the last 2 days, I haven't heard from her. So, sometimes I get good mornings and good nights and stuff like that, which is good because she's thinking of me and, maybe she's setting me up to ask me for money later. But I think that's just life. I think everybody sees what they can get out of you. And that's the way life goes. Oh, God, this guy's generous. If I ask him for money for food, he'll give it to me. Oh, I'll be nice to him. So we don't know really what's going on. That's why it's hard to give money out. But on the other hand, you want to help your friends if they are your friends and to help them. I always look at it, if I can afford it, yeah. If I can't, I don't. So we're coming up on the move again. My foot's been killing me, so couldn't do much yesterday. I don't know how much I can do today. It's starting to feel a little better. The problem is when I put shoes on, my right foot's a little swollen, like right here. So it's hard to stick it into a shoe and walk with it. But if I don't have the shoe on, I'm okay. So we'll see. This is day 3, and usually this son of a bitch takes 4 or 5 days. It does feel better than it did yesterday. It was very painful. So we will see. Anyway, the pool closes tomorrow for 9 days for renovation. I never seen a place renovating. So I will, I don't know. I want to go today because it's the last day, but I don't know if I can. If I can, I will walk the lake next week, at least get my workout in and the move. The last thing I got to do is the internet, which I think I'll do today. Baseball, we've talked about, and basketball. So we went 3-1 in basketball, not bad. We picked over on 4 games. Only the Philadelphia game stayed under with Orlando. And again, not knowing Orlando. So today, Pitt under 8.5, Kansas City under 8.5, the Yankees, Milwaukee over 8, Texas over 8, the Cubbies, Cleveland under 8, and Houston and San Diego we bet, and they're all 2 units, nothing big. We did have the 4-unit play. Oh, what did we do yesterday? So we lost 2. We won 2, so we're even. We won 2, so we're +2. We're +4. We're +2. We're +6. We're +8. Oh, nice day. +8. Like I say, now here I put all these picks. I'll look at the scores tonight. I don't know if I won or lost. The only one I'll kind of know is Detroit. I'm under 8.5 because they can't seem to get more than 3 hits in a game. And let's see, the Cleveland under, and Houston and San Diego. So I'll never remember. I'll look at the scores and I kind of look at my bets going, did I win or lose? Basketball, nothing today. We'll get into it tomorrow. Football, the draft's coming up. Poker, I'm showing you again, it's understanding the reason of the bet. Why did you make the bet is what you always want to do, but you don't say it out loud. she says everything out loud. Everybody's like running, let me get the fuck out of here. And she go, well, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. And she really doesn't know. You really don't know what the guy has. I mean, you can guess, but you really don't know. I don't know your 2 undercards until you show them to me. I can assume things, but doesn't mean I'm right or wrong. Anyway, so that's what we got. Questions, comments? Not a lot of comments. John C., hello. And that's it. So again, the banks, their business is to make money on the interest they loan out. So the banks loan out money and the interest. It's a very corrupt system. It's bullshit because they print the money out of nowhere, and that is wrong. They should have to have the money to loan out. It's just like gold and silver. They do options with gold and silver they don't have. How can they do an option on gold if you don't have the actual physical to sell? And that's why they're all bricks in China right now is buying, taking delivery of the gold and silver. And JP Morgan and the others are with their pants down as they don't have it and they got to get it. So how much longer COMEX will be around, I don't know. Anyway, I think that's it for now. Some guy did a Mark McGuire with the cowboy Tex McKenzie on it. And my comment on this guy, here's my comment. So this is Bill Halter, but he's on Mark McGuire. But here's the guy doing it to try to say, like he did the interview.
Okay, what's your take? Well, actually 5 foods that all men should avoid eating. Okay, go on.
I'm advisor and partner for many, many, many years, and kind of a dynamic shift.
It's the Mark McGuire show.
Right,
but this isn't Mark McGuire. This is Smart Stack Trading. Here's my comment. You steal other people's video, you're a loser. Silver Beach Church by September, despite the huge crash from January. There was no crash. It was the shorts. Everything is in options. It's shorted. They shorted it. It wasn't a crash. It wasn't people profit taking. But what I don't like is this is not your show. I watched Mark McGuire with Tex McKenzie on it. So what the fuck are you doing? You're showing somebody else's show and you're not really giving credit to Mark McGuire for this. Anyway. I think that's about it. Trump, Epstein didn't hang himself. Yeah, we know that. Israel is blackmailing Trump for the war. We all know that. Nothing new. They don't talk about Iran, the Ukraine-Russia war too much anymore, as we've kind of just left it. So he didn't take credit for winning it or losing it. He just walked away, Trump. And that's about it. So, let's look at our gold. We've got to do that. All right, so gold's sitting at about 47.93, roughly, right around 48. The 10 o'clock drop, and then it comes up, and then what kind of bullshit is this? And silver at 78.54. Why would it be down 94 cents or whatever it's down? Why isn't it at 80? Again, it's all bullshit. It's all JP Morgan. It's all this paper options. It's not real. It's got nothing to do with the physical price, and there is no physical price. 78.54 silver is not the physical price of silver. It's a paper diluted option price. The real price of this, I have no idea. It is not 78.54. That is the problem. We don't know what this is. It is not the paper price because that's controlled by options. Why would it be going down? Only if there's no demand for silver, which there's huge demand for silver. So that's the problem. So it's all fucked, but we know that, and it's a good time to buy because we know it's you're buying $700-800 silver for 78, and it's probably more than that. And we're waiting for it to run. And once the dollar goes out and it's 99.5% gone, we're just going to get that other percent, and then that'll explode. And all they need to do is come out with gold-backed dollars, gold-backed currency, and then there's nothing wrong with the system. The problem is you're using fake money. You're using money that's worthless. That's the problem. And I will let you go with that. So have a nice day. www.teaserking.com. Just understand the fundamentals. The big bet on the river is a bluff. The check raise on the river is a bluff. Gold and silver are the only real money, and you can't print them. And the bankers control a lot, and they have people killed. The wars, J.P. Morgan now doesn't want them to invade Dubai and these other countries where Chevron and Mobil is, because they won't be able, just because they won't be able, it doesn't care if anybody dies, they won't be able to pay back the money that they borrowed from me. That's what he's worried about. And I'm sure he's in Trump's ear saying, what the fuck are you doing? If I go under, you go under. So Trump's being careful with that. Trump says stuff to provoke the markets because he's betting, and the kids are betting on. How illegal is that? The kids are betting on oil price to go up or down based on what he says in the speech, which isn't even real. It's fantasy. All right. Have a good day. Take care. Enjoy. Just buy your physical gold and silver. Don't worry about it. The dollar's collapsed. Don't worry about that. Don't overthink it. Don't think it's not going to collapse. It already has collapsed, and that's the point. So it's worthless. But you get a chance to trade it in for gold or silver. Whoa, that's a joke. So anyway, keep that in mind. All right. Have a good day. www.teaserking.com. I will see you tomorrow. And I'm hoping my foot finally heals. I got to put my suits in the car, and I probably want to pack up pots and pans, but really that's it. Everything's pretty much boxed or waiting to be boxed. And that's all I can do. So all right, I got to go get internet. All right. Take care, everybody.